You magnetize your twin flame. Now what? Well, that's what I'm going to discuss today in this video. First, I'm Elle Hari, #1 international best-selling author and Twin Flame and Ascension alchemist, writer, teacher, and coach. And I hear from so many of you who just watch our YouTube videos, and by applying what I say in these videos, even though it's not even the full, thing that we coach, we teach our students in our coaching programs, some of you are able to sense a shift in your twin flame and have them come back into your lives. And then, you reach out and you're like, well, what do we do once that happens? And because they'll come in, and then what will happen? All of a sudden, they're gone again. And you're left right where you were when you started, you think, not really, not energetically. You can't go backwards on this journey. It's a forward-moving journey. Every little bit of balancing, every little bit of shifting you do can never be undone. So please don't ever think that. But you can get off track, right? You can go sideways. And that gets you off track and feeling, again, like crap. So I get a lot of questions about what to do afterwards. Well, as students in our Magnetize Your Twin Flame program and our other programs are well aware of, we have then after that the Keep Your Balance program. So what happens there, and this is actually what differentiates us from every other twin flame guru or coach or whatever out there, right, is the fact that we teach our students what to do after they magnetize their twin flame. Because here's the thing, this journey is not just about you having a physical relationship with your twin flame. Yes, it's some type of relationship with your twin flame, or knowing your twin flame, or relating with your twin flame is the catalyst. And yes, many people want to have relationships with their twin flames, and do. But it's not the reason for this journey. Your soul is already one. Your soul looks at this from the soul's perspective, right? So in the soul's perspective, you're already one. You're already married in divine perfect union for all of eternity with your twin flame. You're the exact same being. So, you're not ever apart. You're not ever separate. You can't separate energy, and especially not the most powerful energy that exists in the universe, which is your soul. It can't be done. So your soul is already together, so you're not apart, right? Thus the myth of separation. However, if you want to physically have your soul bring its two physical bodies together, you and your twin flame, that's great. But it can happen, and it's perfect. But remember, the whole point of this journey is to learn the process of loving yourself, which is actually the process of alchemizing your fear-based energy into love energy and shifting closer into alignment with your soul, therefore your twin flame, right? That's the whole point of this journey. And as from a bigger perspective, the point of the journey, and that is to learn that same process and apply it to every other thing, every other situation, every other person, every single instance and moment in your life. Do that and you reach ascension, right? So that's the whole overall reason for any of this happening. Like I said, your soul already knows it's one. It could care less if you and your twin flame are physically together or not, right? So having said that, the reason your twin flame magnetizes back in is not because they're actually doing it or anything that, yes, you're balancing and stuff and making it possible, but your soul is bringing your twin flame back in whenever they magnetize back in. Why? Your soul is doing that so that every time your twin flame magnetizes back in, you see your fear-based energy reacts to that again, and you see more of it, and you're able to then balance, alchemize, shift even more, right? It's a process. Just magnetizing your twin flame back in is not an end game. There's no end goal. The journey is the destination here. The journey is the process of learning how to love yourself, thereby through alchemizing your fear-based energy and shifting closer into line with your soul, right? That process. So every time your twin flame comes in, it's for the purpose of seeing more of that part of yourself to balance, alchemize, shift, etc., right? So that's the point. So the reason why I personally, I started the whole thing of being like, making it so, magnetizing your twin flame will be the end of, the Magnetize Your Twin Flame coaching program that I have. I use that as the designation of when you have finished the Magnetize Your Twin Flame program, because I needed to have some kind of an ending there, right? And, because people like to see physical results, and that's the only thing physical you can see to know that you have reached that amazing level of balance where that's able to happen. Your twin flame is able to be magnetized in, right? But that's not a goal of this journey. So once that happens, it's not like it's done, right? There's more process to learn. That's just like the point that I chose, because in the fear-based physical world of time and milestones and all this and physicality and people wanting to see and experience physically something, that's just what I chose as to be the determinant that, that part of the balancing was finished. And so that, we could see it with our students that they balanced enough to have that happen. And that's amazing. And that's huge. It's a huge milestone. And, they're feeling amazing by that point, and just, better than they ever thought. So many things are happening in their lives, that in all areas of their lives, that are just beyond their comprehension. And, it's just great. And then the soul brings in the twin flame again. And if they don't know what to do here, the push-pull is going to go back into effect, and then the twin flame is going to leave again, and they're going to feel like crap again, right? We don't want that to happen. So once you magnetize in your twin flame, and I want to also stress, by the way, side note, magnetize does not mean your twin flames just coming in and out like they always have, or, you see them at work or whatever, like you always have. That's not what I mean by magnetizing. Magnetizing only happens as a result of doing the energetic work of the process, of applying the process, and for enough time for it to actually do its thing. Time is, there is no such thing as time, so, it's relative. It could be a moment, it could be, a month, who knows? But, everyone's journey is individual in terms of that. But, that you actually have applied all of the steps of the recipe, the ingredients of the recipe together, enough for that to happen, right? And again, how much time it bakes and needs to cook for is, up to divine timing, and everyone's journey is unique and individual. But it's not just, my twin flame is the back and forth, between me and his spouse or whatever, coming and going. We have an on-again, off-again relationship. We always have. That's not magnetizing in when they do that again, right? Unless it's it's going to be in a different energy. So I just want to clarify that. So magnetization only happens from like my point of view and from what I'm talking about here as a result of applying, the ingredients of the whole process. That is the whole point of this journey of loving yourself. So, but when that happens, when you've done that, it's imperative that you remain in the process. But the process shifts. There's a different come from. There's another way you need to approach it and apply the process to your twin flame journey, yourself, your journey, right? Your circumstance, your situation. And that is because you kind of have to go further. It's very hard to explain, but you need to go further beyond balance at first, because everyone that comes is in such dire straits. You're really in your fear-based energy. You don't even know what fear-based energy is. You can't even see it for the forest, for the trees. You know what I'm saying? So you have to go kind of an extreme way, one way, and then you kind of have to balance back the other way once your twin flame comes in. And not only that, as long as you stay in the process, and for your twin flame to come in, you had to have shrunken. Your spirit-based energy shrinks. Remember, it gets taken over by your soul love energy. So that means there's less of it. That means it's smaller. So by the time your twin flame is magnetized in, and you're, when this happens, you're not thinking about them all the time. You're not like obsessed. You're living your best life. It's amazing. Then your twin flame comes back in, and only in that energy can they come back in, from magnetizing from what I'm talking about. Then once they come back in, by that point, your fear-based energy is so small. Yes, it feeds up a little when they come back in, But, as long as you know what to do to maintain and keep your balance, you ensure that, you stop it from growing any bigger and you get it right back down small again. But it's a lifetimes long journey, lifetimes long process. So even once that happens and they're there, you have to continually see how your as you interact with your twin flame, they're going to show more of your fear-based energy is going to be come in, right? But because it's so much smaller than it is now, where you're like, embodied in it practically, now it's so teeny tiny small. But what that means is that it's harder to see and it's harder to identify. And in order to do any part of this process, any part of anything, to work on it, to acknowledge it, you have to see it. You have to be able to see it. And this is where I believe, personally, coaching is so much more important than even before you magnetize them in to begin with. Because it's your coach, if they know what they're doing and they're trained well, and they've been there, they can see all the little tiny sneaky ways your fear-based energy is starting to feed and build up and push out and start pushing against your twin flame again, which will cause them eventually to pull away. When you interact with your twin flame, when they first magnetize them in, you want to keep it very few and far between the interactions. This is going to be hard because your addictive fear-based energy is going to go, remember, it's the inner resident junkie, addicted to its drug of choice. Your physical form of your twin flame is going to want to shoot itself up and just go sky high, right? But you have to have restraint. You need to keep your interactions as few and far between as possible at first. Why? Because the fear-based energy acts, there's almost like a reservoir, like a gas tank, right? And so when your twin flame comes in, when you magnetize them in, your fear-based energy, the tank of fear-based energy is very low. Like it's not even full at all. So that enables your twin flame to come in. They come in and, your fear-based energy is going to feed up because that's, remember, the whole point. Your soul's bringing them in for that exact reason. So, the tank, the fuel tank's going to fill up a little bit more. But, as long as you give yourself the time and space to balance and apply the process again from this different viewpoint, the level of the fear-based energy in the tank will then drop again. And then you interact with your twin flame again, fills up a little more, you give yourself time and space, and, eventually you'll be able to start interacting with them more frequently for more longer time periods, for more intense interactions or whatever, and eventually they'll be right there by your side, right? As long as you maintain this process. But the thing is, every time that fuel tank fills up, it's going to start filling up with like sneakier and sneakier ways of your fear-based energy. And that's why it is so important to have coaching, because your coach, if they know what they're doing, will be able to see those sneaky ways that, are, when you're just first going through this, you have no idea. I didn't either. I had Luar there telling me, so, it's very important. What happens if you don't, give yourself the time and space to empty that fuel tank again? Well, the longer that you hang out with your twin flame, the more often you see them, and you don't allow the fuel tank to empty, it's going to keep building on itself. And eventually it'll get to a point where, and who knows what that is, everyone's journey is individual at that, but where the fuel tank is going to get too high, where it's going to push out, and your twin flame's going to pull away, and you're going to be feeling, once again, like crap. So that's what happens when you magnetize your twin flame in. It's not game over. It's not at all. Your fear-based energy is going to want to tell you it is. Yay, I did it. I'm done. Ride off into the sunset. But do that fuel tank's going to fill up even more, and you're just going to push them away again, and they're going to pull away, and you're going to be back feeling like crap again. You won't go backwards because you can't, because, every balancing and shifting you do, remember, is permanent. It's a forward progressing journey, but you can go way off track and feel like, you've been sideswiped again and feeling like crap again, which, really honestly, Luar always said, the key to this journey is just feeling good. So, that's all I have for you today. If you'd like help with applying the process to your situation, your life, your journey, please click the link below this video. Speak with one of our clarity coaches for a free consultation. They are here. We're here for you. and we have many different ways to help you. And yeah, it's my mission to help as many people as possible. So please do that. Thanks for watching. Lots of love.